Welcome back to another Family History Friday video with the Butler Area Public Library. I'm Margaret. Have you ever been deep into your research on Ancestry.com and then suddenly you run into this image? There's nothing as disappointing to a genealogist as clicking on a link thinking you're going to look at an original record and then you find out that it says text-only collection. Fortunately, for a lot of those records, there's a handy little secret in that indexing that's going to show you how to find the full image over on Family Search. So in this video, I'm going to show you what an FHL number or family history number is and how to plug that into the card catalog over at Family Search so that all of your record image streams come true. So let's go. So if you get frustrated when you run into these text-only results on Ancestry, there is hope. So if you look for clues in the indexing and the source information, there's a good chance you can find additional info. And what we're looking for is here in the circled bit, the FHL Film Number. If you see one of those, that means that there's a really good chance that you can find the full images for this record over on Family Search. Now over in the Family Search catalog, which again is a card catalog of all records in the Family Search collection, so it's indexed and undindexed records, there is a variety of ways to search. And in a previous video, which I will link in the video description, we talked about searching by place and by subject and keyword, but I'm going to show you how to search by film number. For our first example, let's look at this text-only birth record for Thomas McMichael, who was born in June of 1900 in Putnam County, Ohio. So right here at the bottom, the family history film number, I'm just going to copy. And then we're going to go over to familysearch.org. And when we get there, we're just going to go search the card catalog. If you want more information about browsing records on Family Search, searching the card catalog, or browsing records, I'm going to link to our other videos on using the Family Search site in the video description. So on our search page, rather than search by place or use a keyword, we're going to click right here where it says film/fiche number, and then plug in that number. And our search result is just one hit here. It says vital records, and it's marriage, birth, and death records from the state of Ohio. And when we click on that, you can see that we have a series of now digitized microfilm reels. And it also gives us a link here in red to say that these records are available online. So I'm going to click here where it says births are available online. And then I'm going to just plug in some of the information that we know. So I'm going to type Thomas McMichael and 1900 because we know the year he was born. And we're seeing 3 hits here for Thomas McMichael, born in June of 1900. So let's take a look at some of these. I'm going to open this image in a new tab so we can zoom in on it. So first, we are seeing a copy of the original birth register for Thomas McMichael's birth. We can see it here on the 3rd line. So Thomas McMichael, born June 11th, 1900, Putnam, Ohio. And then we come across and we have his parents' information, Matthias McMichael and Emmeline Cook, and that they were living in New Bavaria, Ohio. So it's confirming pretty much everything we saw on Ancestry. It's adding the parents' residence, which might be helpful, and we're just getting a look at the original record so we can make sure that that information was indexed properly. I'm going to come back to our search results here because I want to look at these other 2 records. So clicking on this first one and zooming in. So this looks like some kind of court journal entry, and we can see that it has to do with a birth registration for Thomas Corwin McMichael being filed in December of 1941. Thomas Corwin Nathaniel McMichael. So we get a full name with 2 middle names, not just the Thomas McMichael from our 1900 register that we were looking at. We've got some information of the people that were coming forward and providing affidavits that the information was right. And we've got some more information about his parents. We've got his parents' birthplaces and occupations. And we have information about how many children had been born to his mother and the name of the attending physician. I'm going to click on our other tab to that other image that we had, that third record, and we can see here that this was the application to correct that birth record. So we've got Thomas's full name, date, and time of birth, that biographical information about his parents, his signature, and his address in December of 1941 when he was filling this out. So from that little indexed information on Ancestry from this birth index, we got 3 different documents relating to his birth. We got our original ledger and the amended information that was being filed later on in his life. Let's try another example. So here's a text-only death record from Cook County, Illinois, for a man named John Craig. And we do get a lot of information here. We've got birth and death dates and places. We've got some burial information and that he was a fireman. But let's check this film number and see if there's anything else that we can learn. So here we can see that that film number takes us to a digitized microfilm of Cook County, Illinois death records from the 1870s through 1909 and then 1916 to 1922. See, there's a large number of films here. We saw a similar link in red to search records when we were looking at that Ohio birth record, but sometimes they aren't as complete. So with this one, it says there's an index to Cook County deaths available, but when I click there and put John Craig's information in, I get a result, but it's just indexed the same as the one that I saw on Ancestry. So what I'm gonna do is come and actually just look through the images myself. So we know that John Craig died in September of 1901. So these look to be arranged chronologically. So I am just going to find the record set that would cover that month and year. So here we can see death certificates, March through December 1901. These are the images that I want. So I'm going to click on the camera. And then these are going to be arranged roughly chronologically. So we are just going to skim through until we find the records from September. And here, deep in this reel of microfilm, is the original death report for John Craig. We can see that it was in the consumptive hospital, and down here the cause of death is tuberculous lungs. So that information was not included on the indexing on either Ancestry or the search page on Family Search here. We can confirm the information about his occupation, his birth in Canada, and his death. He's been here in Illinois for 5 years. That he must have been living at 51st and Lake Avenue before going to the tuberculosis ward at the consumptive hospital. And then we've got some information about his burial and the undertaker. So again, you're always going to get a richer picture from looking at the original record and not just that indexed information that's been transcribed. So here's another example of how these film numbers can help us out with our research. So in this situation, we are looking at the death record for a man named Samuel B. Coles. Samuel Coles was born in New Jersey and died in Likens, Pennsylvania in September 1916. We're looking at his death record here. We know that for a fact. But we have this other hit in our search results on Ancestry. So it's for a Samuel B. Coles, born in the same year, died a couple of weeks later in October 1916, but it says in the New Jersey Death and Burials Index. So what's going on here? Why do we seem to have a death record for the same person in a different state? So let's grab this film number and go check it out. So when we search for this record set on Family Search, we get indexed death records in Gloucester County Historical Society, New Jersey. And it says, microfilms of the originals. This index covers newspapers, cemetery transcriptions, and other genealogical works. So it seems like we've got an index to a hodgepodge of records here. So I'm going to scroll down, and we got an alphabetical index here of records. So since our last name is Coles, I'm going to look in this record set here. First surname sets start with C's and go through D's. And when we look through these records, a quick Browse is just going to tell us that these are arranged alphabetically, so I'm just going to scroll a little bit until I hit the record that I need alphabetically for Samuel Coles. So once I jump around for a little bit through these images and find the right spot, I can find this index card for Samuel B. Coles, and it says he died at Lykins, PA, age 83 years, 7 months, 10 days, formerly of Woodbury, which is in New Jersey. And the reason the date seemed off is because that's the publication date in a newspaper called the Woodbury Constitution. So this tells me that there was an obit for Samuel Coles published in New Jersey on the 11th of October, a couple of weeks after he died. So no death record in New Jersey, no mysterious second death. This is just an index for an obituary. And I'd probably go seek this out as a researcher because there's probably some great family information in here published back in his hometown. In this example, we were researching someone named Walter Palmer and his wife Elizabeth Carter, and we got this interesting text-only hit where some of the information is close but a little weird. So we have the names displaying as Walterum Palm and Elizabetham Carter. And it's supposed to be a marriage that took place in November of 1585 in Dorset Church of England parish registers. So let's take a look at the film number and see what's going on with this. So we'll copy our number and jump over to Family Search. And we get 2 items that are in this collection. One is a diary and the other is a parish register. So I'm going to look at the parish register. That seems more accurate to contain marriage information. And sure enough, you can see that we have a number of films here: baptisms, marriages, and burials. But the only one that's been digitized is this 3rd entry right here that contains marriages in the time period that we want. Everything else has that little microfilm image, meaning it's still only available on microfilm. So let's click on there and take a look. One thing that is going to immediately jump out at me when I'm looking at these records is that they're in Latin. So as I'm going along and I start to look at these records, I can tell, even though I'm not fluent in Latin, that these are arranged chronologically by month and year. So we have April, May, June, and July of 1572 here on this page. So I'm just going to browse through until I find November of 1585. So just remembering that Ancestry has their marriage date indexed as November 4th, 1585. When we look at our record here in the section for November, we can see Quarto, 4th, Matrimonium, Walterum Palmer. So here we have Walter Palmer marrying Elizabetham Carter, or Elizabeth Carter, Filium, daughter of, and then this is her father Richard Carter, Richard just being abbreviated here. So with a little Latin translation help with the dictionary, we can pick out the correct information from this record and confirm that it is our Walter and Elizabeth. And had we not followed up on that Family History Library film number off of Ancestry, we never would have been able to look at a copy of this 400-plus-year-old record. So certainly make sure that you're following up on all of those breadcrumb leads that you find. So I hope this video has been helpful in your research, and I hope that you are able to go forth and find more records in your research using this tip.